Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Stars Mars. I am here filming right before I link up with Rosa. So she actually thinks we're doing a conspiracy video today. We're doing something a little bit different. Clearly by the title you can see that this is not our normal type of content. It's definitely not Conspiracy Hour, but she has no idea what's about to happen. I explained it a little bit in the video, but to be honest, I'm not totally sure how this idea even came about in the first place. Somehow the two of us mentioned it and became some inside joke about something that would probably never happen. So I'm super excited to have actually written this and be passing it on for an episode for you guys. Alright, hope you enjoy. Welcome back to the Bathroom Fan Conspiracy Channel.
Welcome.
I'm one of your hosts, Stars Mars.
I am Rosa Beach.
Welcome back. So we've done a few episodes up to this point, and we are trying to have a fun experience today. What are we doing, Rosa Beach?
You're presenting me with something I don't know what it is, and that's why I'm jumbled up on my words, because I have no idea what's going on. You're supposed to present a conspiracy of sorts to me.
Oh, interesting.
And I am supposed to react, and we're supposed to, share it with our lucky audience.
Okay, that sounds exciting. So how receptive are you to this new idea?
I am very open-minded. Unless it's something I've already heard before, then I probably have, an opinion of it already, and that will, sway me. But I am open to hear your rendition of reality.
Alright, we got something else actually today. So Rosa Beach has no idea what's going on today. I have something that's going to blow her mind. Something very exciting. Something we want to kind of bring out to the audience. So that's why we're here for this episode today. Rosa Beach.
Yes.
I am going to send you something through the email.
Ooh.
Are you logged into the email that we both share for this YouTube?
Yes. I've got it pulled up right now.
Alright, cool. Okay, so here I am. I am sending you a link.
Okay.
Right now. Yes, I know it's very exciting. It says it's sent, and I want you to go ahead and open this and let us know once you've got it.
Ooh, it's special. Oh no. Oh god. Oh gosh. Oh gosh, this is the future.
What are you seeing?
I am seeing something we saw long ago in a clairvoyant vision. It will be the rise and fall of America, which will be the rise and fall of the globe.
Wow.
As we know it.
It's pretty profound there.
Yes.
So, this is the surprise I've had for you. I was really excited. I actually filmed a little intro before you started recording with me. So as the viewers know, we're actually doing something a little more fun today. It's not a conspiracy. It was actually just a surprise for you. And I have no idea.
But it is a conspiracy. I think it's gonna happen.
Oh, totally it's gonna happen. But here's the thing I couldn't remember, as I just mentioned in the intro. Do you know how we came up with this idea together? First off, what is it called? What are we looking at right now?
I am looking at a I don't know, is this a script or
It's a fan fiction.
Okay, I am looking at a fan fiction written that is titled Gaga Paris 2024. And so you're asking how, where did this come from? Well, this is
Where
my
did it come
dream.
That is your dream.
Oh, well, I'm pretty sure Kim and Kanye are running for presidency when they reach the age, but you know who I think should be the first woman president?
Who?
I said Paris Hilton originally, but you had the genius idea of Gaga being the president and Paris serving as vice president of the United States of Hollywood.
Oh, so that's how it happened. Okay. Hell yeah.
Something like that. I think it was a collaborative. Like I said, I would, if Paris Hilton ever ran for the presidency, I would actually register to vote. So I think out of anyone in the whole entire world, she's probably qualified.
So what I have here is a fan fiction of this idea that we came up with out of nowhere. And again, like, even though you've kind of explained it, I'm still not 100% sure, like, how this idea actually came into fruition. So we are here, viewers, with our Gaga Paris 2024 fan fiction, Chapter 1. Oh, jeez. I think this is what everybody's asked for on our channel, and we just haven't...
Everyone's asked for this. Everyone.
This is all everyone's wanted. And we're finally bringing it to them by special request. Now, let me tell you, this series, lots of ups and downs. I'm not sure it's going to be as pleasant or as beautiful as people expect, but it is there. And so today we have this very, very special special story. Okay, so this is a series that I have written that I'm hoping that Rosa Beach will read for us. I hope she has her reading glasses on.
I don't need reading glasses. I need seeing glasses.
Seeing glasses?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means I can't see far away, but I can read.
I don't believe you.
I read the title, didn't I?
You're right, but it was very big font, honestly.
That's true. Do you want me to?
It's very, very.
Do you want me to start on chapter 1?
Yes. So the story. What happens when two huge, influential people meet? A spontaneous sexual romance? Can they change the world? More? Why don't we find out?
I'd love to find out, because I'm pretty sure Hollywood is going to take over and be the new capital, so...
Definitely.
It's only a matter of time. Actually, just 4 years' time.
This story is also on Wattpad. We will link the link down below in our description. Feel free to check it out as Rosa Beach reads along. We will be pasting this link on here, and hopefully you can read along with us. So let's start with this first chapter. Chapter 1, titled Fate. Alright, I think this episode is put along onto 5 different parts. So let's go one by one, starting with Part A. Rosa, you want to bring us in?
Alright, Part A. Time flies when you're having fun. By the end of her show, Lady Gaga wondered where all that time went. Does it go back into space? Or does it simply disappear like a lost dream? She could never figure it out, even after all those amazing shows she had done in Las Vegas. Her residency would be ending soon. But she didn't like thinking about that. She focused on the glass of champagne in her right hand to celebrate another show well done. The bubbly fluids rocked back and forth, a little from the minute movement of the private jet she currently sat in. Back to LA, back home. She didn't like admitting it, but she was tired. She wanted to nap, a really long nap, the kind where you say it's going to be a short nap, but your body needs rest, so it just sleeps. And then you wake up the next day really confused, but at least you finally feel rested. But she couldn't do that now. One drink, one plane ride, and then it's business time. Again. But then, after that, she could rest for a few days before she needed to be back in Nevada. Lady Gaga downed the full glass of champagne and let out only the tiniest burp befitting of a lady. Jenkins, my notes, please. She gestured to the man in the tuxedo beside her. He was an older man who acted as the lady's personal butler and guard during her jet trips. Nobody would suspect it, but he was ripped and also carried a gun. So he knew how to protect a lady, especially this lady, Gaga. She never needed much protection on the plane anyway, since it was the two of them and the pilot. But she always liked to be safe rather than sorry.
I'll read the butler's parts whenever they come up.
Okay. The butler guard Jenkins reached into the bags and handed her 3 pages folded in half, which contained her notes.
Your papers, lady.
He said in the most British accent ever, although it sounded like he was from the southeast. She liked that about him. She had worked on the speech on and off over the past week. It was important that she get it right, but she had long ago lost her nervousness in speaking in front of people. She couldn't count how many millions of people she had spoken in front of, and now nervousness was a thing of the past. Still, the topic was important to her, so she wanted to get it just right, like she does every goddamn time she gets on stage.
Yes. All right. That was a great rendition of Part A. Good job.
I tried. Right. There's not a lot going on there.
All right. On to Part B.
Okay, do I continue?
Let's do it.
Okay. Part B. Her jet landed down on the top of a hospital so she could get some plastic surgery. Why'd she land at the hospital?
No. You'll see. Okay. It's not for plastic surgery, though.
Okay. Her jet landed down on the top of a hospital in sunny L.A., except now it was nighttime. There were multiple landing spaces, and some of them were filled. She guessed there would be other high-profile speakers here, too, but she had no idea. As Lady Gaga's jet landed, she looked out of the window to her side and saw a bright pink helicopter parked right beside them. The thing was bright, even in the dark night sky, although in LA it's never really dark because of all the lights. The city that never sleeps. Part 2. The sister to the city that never sleeps. So she could see the pink really well, especially since there were lights on top of the hospital for them to see better also. And also because the helicopter was decked out in rhinestones. Swarovski
Yes.
Crystal rhinestones.
Totally.
333 billion of them to be exact.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, she wondered where that helicopter came from, and who in their right mind would paint a helicopter pink and pay like $5 million trillion for all those rhinestones. Then again, she couldn't speak. She'd probably do something similar. After that meat dress, people probably thought she'd do something even crazier. But the truth was that she had toned down a bit. Gaga in the early 2000s was a different Gaga than who she was now in 2020. That's just life. People change, they mature, and they grow wiser. On to bigger and badder. Lady Gaga had done this. Now she was a beautiful woman, with a lot of weird dresses in her closet that she wore only ever so often. But the heels, that was non-negotiable. Today, she was wearing 7-inch heels. Her normal height of 5'1" was so tiny in the world of Hollywood that she needed her heels. They made her stand out. Not that anyone ever said she didn't. Again, especially after that meat dress. They boarded the jet, Jenkins leading Lady Gaga with one hand and the other hand on the pistol hidden inside his tuxedo, ready to shoot in case anyone tried to get crazy. Not crazy as in, like, you go crazy at a Lady Gaga concert, but, like, crazy as in psychotic, like, I'm going to attack Lady Gaga and feel her up. She knew Jenkins would shoot, too, if anyone tried to feel her up, besides Jenkins. Or the pilot. That's another reason she liked him. He was crazy about her boobs. She was pretty sure he wasn't actually a butler, and she didn't really know who hired him, but it didn't matter. He was the best butler guard she could ask for.
Best of luck, lady.
He said in that powerfully British accent again. That was oddly enough fake, but she didn't mind. Thank you, Jenkins, she said as she let go of his hand, turned her head around, and batted her lashes a few times with a smile. Of course, she wasn't interested in him. She only let him fill her up a couple times. But that's what ladies do, and she was the top lady. She walked on the rooftop into the hospital building, escorted by her normal entourage, as Jenkins stayed behind in the jet to think about those lady jugs.
I'm liking where you're taking the story. That's not quite written there, but it's behind the lines. You're catching on to it.
Yeah, well, it's a fan fiction.
Oh, it's a fan fiction, and Jenkins is getting the best of it for sure.
Around every corner, there's a new sexcapade.
Oh, for sure. This whole fan fiction business, all about sexcapades. Okay. All right. So we're on part C, and we have 2 more after this to go. I think it starts getting, this is where the bulk of the story starts coming in, so this is an important part, Rosa. I hope you can get it.
Okay. Lady Gaga enters the auditorium where the conference is taking place. The lights are blaring onto the stage, so she can't see much of the audience. But in all her years of performing, she's learned to see past those bright, blinding beacons and see the crowd. It required cat-like focus to squint her eyes and see them out there. Doctors, lots of them. There were police officers and other fine, upstanding citizens all in the crowd. Many of them in fine uniforms. They were the serious type. No loud applause. When she entered, she was very used to this, especially around art pop era.
No.
This was no Vegas. This was no Vegas, that's for sure. But then again, this was a professional meeting. Normally, she would say she was happy to be invited, but she couldn't help the feeling of a little irritated. Feeling a little irritated. As am I when I read the line wrong. She blamed it on being tired. She was instructed to her seat, a small semicircle of panelists who sat on stage together facing the audience. The seats were close together. There must have been at least 15 of them on stage. Her head turned to her right. She had wondered who else was speaking, but only saw the long, lovely blonde hair beside her, practically so close it was within reach. The girl was sitting in the chair directly beside her and looked much taller than the lady herself. The girl was looking straight down into her lap, where she held a sheet of paper and seemed to be going over it. My God, Lady Gaga thought, that's Paris freaking Hilton! Gaga turned her head straight forward quickly, all her jewelry around her neck jangling with the sudden movement. She realized she had been staring for what might have been a moment and didn't want to make a scene. But then she turned back to double check. That was Paris Hilton. But then she turned back to double check. What was Paris Hilton doing at this conference? Lady Gaga remembered watching The Simple Life with Paris and Nicole Richie when she was a lot younger. when they were both a lot younger. And laughing at every minute. That had been one of her favorite shows for a while. Paris Hilton was an icon. What had happened? She never remembered hearing about her after a while. She should have done better on keeping up with such a legend.
Yeah.
Back then, Gaga had just started writing songs that would go on her first record. Almost none of them would make the cut. On the other hand, Paris Hilton was a multi-billionaire icon of the world. Thank you, you give her justice. Even though Gaga wasn't paying attention.
Right.
But now, look where they were at. Gaga was one of the most popular and wealthy women in the world. And Paris, well, her reputation didn't seem so great. What was she doing there? She's just a pretty face. She can't even sing. Surely without any real reason to be here besides being something to catch the eyes of the men in the crowd. Gaga looked over at Paris. It was definitely her. Nobody could mistake her. Blonde, skinny, rich, and a little bit of a bitch. But she was very, very tall, unlike Donatella, who you could probably confuse with that description. But Paris was very, 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 very tall. And she wore heels. She looked
ad-libs.
She looked at her face and noticed her pink lipstick perfectly complementing her makeup. But her lips seemed to be mouthing over the words she was looking at. The more she looked at Paris, the more she could see strain in her face. She looked at her face and noticed her pink lipstick perfectly complementing her makeup. But her lips seemed to be mouthing over the words she was looking at. The more she looked at Paris, the more she could see strain in her face. She looked down to the paper Paris was holding and saw her hands trembling violently. Gaga turned away and faced straight again. She didn't want to see that and needed to focus on her own speech. She forgot all of her compassion. It would be her turn to speak soon anyways.
Perfect.
Part D.
You got it.
Part D.
Party.
The speakers started from the very right side of the stage and were working their way around. They were all medium to high profile celebrities like Woody Harrelson, Vin Diesel, and Danny DeVito. Danny just finished his speech and waddled back to his seat. I just picture him dressed up as the penguin.
Not quite. It's just how he walks, I think.
Oh, gosh. Okay. One more speaker left, and then it was Gaga's turn. But that means up next. She looked over to Paris and saw a wave wash over her. She looked like a new person, calm, composed, and fearless. Gaga was taken aback. She didn't know what to expect. Surely Paris had spoken in front of thousands before. Millions, maybe? She didn't know the Hilton story that well. But why were her hands shaking? Why did she look so nervous before? Paris's heels stomped across the stage until she reached the center and then stood out and smiled. Using her cat-like squinting eyes... So Gaga's a cat now? Must be the makeup she's wearing.
Must be.
House laboratories. Gaga looked past the lights again and out into the crowd. She could see some of the men and doctors turn and laugh to each other about something as soon as Paris made her way up. Two of them had pointed and laughed, making some kind of joke. What the fuck?
Right.
I'll fight those doctors. Paris stood with her legs daintily crossed while standing and looked at her notes again. Then, while holding them, she grasped her hands behind her back, looking like a model's pose. She began to speak. She began to speech. Our friends, Paris said. Her voice was high-pitched and playful. Anyone who ever watched The Simple Life will know exactly what it sounded like. It sounded like a very serene and boring blonde doll. But it was almost funny. People said this wasn't her real voice, but Gaga had never heard her speak any differently. Being one, it's no good. It really sucks. Her voice continued the same. Oh, here we go, Gaga thought, and began to look at her own notes again. Still, she couldn't shake the sour feeling in her gut as people laughed when Paris stood up front. Gaga had been in that spot before, too. She just hoped Paris hadn't been able to see it all and didn't have cat-like eyes like she did. No, Paris has chihuahua-like eyes. It's like probably one of the worst things you can ever imagine. Paris said as she looked ahead. Her eyes didn't move and her voice was very expressionless. She took a pause, long enough that Gaga looked up from her notes to wonder what was going on. She saw Paris's grasped hands behind her back fidgeting and shaking, and the papers rocking back and forth, although hidden from the crowd. Paris gave a small laugh. Oh God, you gotta cut that laugh out. Please cut that laugh out. What did I just do?
All right.
Paris gave a small laugh. Her eyes began to look across the crowd, and her pinned-out smile began to come a bit loose. It's like, imagine your mom and dad don't want you, and they just throw you away. She tried to continue. Like, whoa, can you even imagine? The line sounded so rehearsed, and a small wave of laughter filled the audience. Paris accidentally dropped her papers onto the cold auditorium stage. Sorry, everyone, she said as she scrambled to begin picking them up. They had scattered everywhere, mostly all around Paris, but one flew near Woody Harrelson's feet. The man simply sat there looking amused while waiting for Paris to come pick the paper up off of his shoe. He's ready for that view. Gaga couldn't believe it. She rapidly stood up and put her own papers down in her seat and walked quickly over to the fallen paper by the dumb man's feet, who had a stupid smirk on his face.
Yeah.
She regained her compassion. Yeah. He looked just like everyone else in the crowd. She picked up the paper and walked quickly to Paris at the center of the stage, who was shocked to see someone walking toward her. There was recognition in Paris's eyes, but also an overwhelming fear. Gaga put on a smile and handed her the sheet of paper. Gaga's really good at putting on a smile. So is Paris. You got this, she said under her breath, just loud enough so that Paris could hear her. She was like a deer in the headlight. She just turned back to the audience and Gaga hurried back to her seat. All eyes were on Paris. The girl looked over the notes again after assembling them in the right order. She took a deep breath and tried to put on the smile again. Like, whoa, how can you even imagine? She said again in that high-pitched, playful voice. The crowd burst out laughing. From the back, Gaga could see Paris looking around the crowd. After a minute, she could see Paris take a deep inhale and exhale as her lungs expanded out her tiny frame. She kept her papers in her hand but lowered them down to her side. Gaga could see her shoulders loosen up. "Look," she said, but the voice didn't seem to come from her mouth, or rather her voice had changed drastically. Gaga's attention was one-pointed, all on Paris. "We're here to talk about helping orphans, and I know if you're here today, you want to do the same thing." Her voice was dramatically lower, a whole different tone, different pace of speaking, and a different demeanor. Paris's voice sounded a lot like Gaga. She was totally dumbfounded at what had just happened. Was this what people were talking about when they said she had a fake voice? She'd only ever heard Paris's high-pitched, nasally voice, but this one sounded so natural. There were millions of orphans out there without anything. Imagine being without a mom and dad. It's heartbreaking. It's lonely. She didn't look at her notes at all. Her voice had a vigor to them that Gaga recognized. She was speaking from the heart. She began, letting out a deep breath. "I grew up totally alone. The crowd was totally silent. I grew up totally alone with no parents ever home. I had to learn everything myself, and I was lucky compared to a lot of these orphans out there. They don't have the chances that I had." Paris spoke for a few more minutes and then began to return to her seat after a round of applause. Applause, applause. Gaga had forgotten about her own speech and could only listen to Paris's account in her passionate words. Paris walked back to her seat, but her legs were clearly trembling as she walked. When she sat down, Paris made no eye contact, not with anyone besides her or anyone in the audience. Gaga leaned over. "You did great," she said softly. She meant it too, and hoped Paris could tell the honesty in her voice. At hearing this, Gaga saw a crack break in Paris's demeanor. The beautiful, blonde girl hunched over and let out a sad sob, and some bottled-up tears began to roll down her face. This had been too much for Paris to hear. She looked over to Gaga and made eye contact, real eye contact, for the first time.
Paris.
Oh my god. Okay. "No, I totally messed up this speech," she said quietly, but in that lower... "No, I totally messed up the speech," she said quietly in that lower tone she had just been speaking in before. Gaga was leaning over as soon as she could, as close as she could. God damn it. Cut. Gaga was leaning over as close as she could to her, and they were both speaking soft enough that the audience hopefully couldn't hear. "I wanted everyone to take orphans seriously." More tears rolled down her face. "I wanted everyone to take me seriously," she said at last, a little more loudly than before. She couldn't control herself anymore. She stood up and threw her papers down and then ran out the back of the stage through the curtains as quickly as she could.
Damn.
What the fuck?
She got hurt. She felt it.
So, we're on to the final part of this
Chapter 1.
part.
Yep. Part E.
Part E of part 1.
Yep.
And so far, Paris is upset and Gaga is acting out of character. So what will happen next?
Last series. Let's do it.
All right. As Paris stormed off stage, Gaga heard laughter in the crowd. She couldn't do anything. It was her turn to speak. She got up to the stage and her stomach melted. But not because she was nervous. No, she felt sick because at the front of the stage, she realized that you can see everyone in the crowd just fine.
It's sad.
It wasn't like the back of the stage where you were blinded. Meanwhile, Paris
No.
Could see all their smirks, laughter, and pointing, even without having cat-like vision like Gaga had, and having run off of stage. Didn't she run off of stage?
She did.
So how can she see?
Well, when she was at the front of the stage, like, Gaga was like,
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm
okay.
critical.
It's okay.
She tried to calm down her anger and thought of things that made her happy, like her piano, dogs, and her own big butt. She said, "Don't you know my ass is famous?" She felt her pulse return to normal and remembered why she was here. She too had passion. But she had totally forgotten her speech. It seemed to have just been sucked from her memory over the past few minutes. She could not focus. She looked at her notes, unlike usual, and just read from them, but her thoughts were somewhere else. Being without a mother is one of the biggest obstacles any child will ever overcome. What can we do about this? She began and continued on with her speech as written. No ad-libs, no extra jokes. No, she wasn't in the mood. When she finished her speech, she got a raucous round of applause. Applause.
Yeah.
And she gave a polite bow. She walked back toward her seat, but froze when she got there. She pulled her papers down. She pulled her pants down.
No.
She pulled her papers down and walked back through the curtains to the back of the stage.
Yeah.
Then pulled her pants down.
No.
There was a small murmur in the crowd as she did so, but she didn't care. She was Lady fucking Gaga. Her entourage looked surprised as she stood there past the curtain, but didn't know what to say. Gaga retraced her steps back the way she had come when she arrived. And her hunch... If her hunch was right, she might still have time. She picked up the pace and began to jog back up the stairs, despite her huge heels.
Oh.
Her guards and stylists followed her, completely confused. "Lady, is everything okay?" one of them called out. But Gaga was focused on making it up the stairs. Eventually, they just followed in silence, in suit of Gaga's own quietness. She made it to the top of the staircase and caught her breath for a brief second. With all the others tailing far behind her, as weird as her life had been, this was unusual for her. You'd think they would have gotten used to unusual days by now. But they all seemed shocked. Gaga pushed open the heavy door. Gaga pushed open the heavy door that led to the top, the hospital roof. Strong gusts of air flying at her and pushing her long hair back. 50 feet above her was the pink rhinestone helicopter, tilting to the side and starting to make its way up higher and higher. Using her cat-like eyes, Gaga could see long, blonde hair through one of the windows. But it looked like it was in the pilot's seat. No, surely not. But at least her hunch was right. That was Paris's helicopter. But Gaga had been too late. Paris Hilton? Gaga thought. She watched the helicopter fly off northbound, probably to Beverly Hills, or wherever was home for Paris. As much as she tried to relax after the event, Paris Hilton was all Gaga could think about for the rest of her life.
The rest of the night. Yay! 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 Yeah.
So is this the beginning of their relationship?
I won't
Of their partnership?
I'm not going to give any spoilers away. But I think you did
I'm going to find that Google Doc.
No, wait. That's for another episode. I think you did a really good job of narrating the first chapter. Fate.
Thank you. I tried really hard, and I feel like I've gotten sick in the amount of time it's taken me to read it. Which is just like tragic. I can't wait till Gaga like stalks Paris and they get to talk to each other.
Maybe it happens in the next chapter. Ooh.
I hope so.
Hell yeah. So I think this is maybe a 7-part episode.
Yes. 7 parts. No, I enjoy how our podcast has music hour. Now it has
Fanfiction hour.
Fanfiction episodes. And then next week we'll hopefully have a interesting tidbit.
Sounds like conspiracy hour.
Yeah, I think I'll be ready to present for conspiracy hour the next time we convene.
Hell yeah. Cool. Okay, well.
Hell yeah.
I'm really glad you got to read this today. I think you're a really great presenter for this kind of medium, fan fiction. I think you really bring a lot to it, and your Paris voice was like perfect for this.
That's hot.
That's hot. Hell yeah.
That's hot.
That's hot.
That's hot.
That's hot.
That's hot.
That's
hot. That's hot.
hot.
That's hot.
That's why I knew this would be perfect for you. Totally. Alright, so...
Now I just want to watch Simple Life and dream of the new president.
2024, baby. Let's do it.
I can't wait. 2024, that's the year I register to vote.
Hell yeah. Alright, so to everyone who's been listening for this podcast, again, it's on Wattpad if you want to go listen to it.
Link down below.
There's a link down below. There's the smut tag on it. If you want to get a little dirty, it's there. Keep listening, keep watching. We're here to narrate for you. It's not too long. It's probably faster than you could read, honestly, because you're probably like 3rd grade, 4th grade. But here we are. Rosa Beach is narrating for you for this series. I'm writing it for you. This will be a really fun experience.
It's a good one.
Again, I think it's like 7 episodes. There might be multiple universes, but I think this is the first one we're going to try. If there's a lot of responsiveness to this, we'll write different universes. But it's all done. So, thank you for listening.
So, smash that like.
Smash
lick
it.
that follow button.
Punch that bell. Etc.
Lick the follow button.
Yeah, lick it. Ooh. Ah.
Join our Discord.
Do we have a Discord?
Donate to the Patreon.
Yes.
Buy our merch.
Oh, there's... Yeah.
Send us an email.
Send us an email with like $50 at least. That's like 2 packs of cigarettes here
Venmo
in
us.
California.
Venmo, Cash App. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Yes.
And then, don't try to be too sad until our next chapter.
All right. I know you're looking forward to it. Thanks for listening tonight.
I'm ready for it now.
In the future, we'll have more conspiracy episodes, music hour episodes, fanfiction episodes. Just stay focused with us, and we are going to do it.
Uh-oh, Windows Update?
My battery is very, very, very low.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well, yeah, if you... You should cut it, like, way back.
I should probably cut it right now. All right, let's go. Bye. Thanks for listening. See ya.